Hello everyone, I'm Cal, that's Matt.
I'm Wizzo, and that's Shrog.
And today we're taking a financial look at each different tier of the Kickstarter pledges for the Cyberpunk TCG. Hopefully this video will serve as a good kind of reference for people. Maybe you're on the fence of buying a certain tier, maybe you're wondering which one's best for you. We will later on also be looking at 5 different consumer types that we have pre-selected, that me and Matt have spoke about prior.
Yeah, you the viewer, will fit into one of these 5.
Exactly, well hopefully. And even if you're between them, you should still be able to make, you know, a good informed decision, exactly. So...
That is just note, however, this is not financial advice.
Yes.
And pledging anything on a Kickstarter involves some form of financial risk.
Yes. Do not...
Weirdco, and, you know, CDPR are trusted, wonderful companies with a track record of high-quality product. However, disaster can strike. So only pledge what you're willing to lose.
Yes, exactly. Now, it is also worth mentioning that prior to this, me and Matt took the time, we made some charts that will stick up on the screen now, for those who maybe want to look at things at a more, chart-like level. The chart on the left will be a bar chart talking about the price in dollars, MSRP versus what you're paying, and then the pie chart on the right will show each tier with its savings comparative to each other.
Yeah, it's percentile discount. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So pause the video now if you want to take a quick look at that, but if not, we'll get straight into the tiers if you'd like to kick it off, Matt.
Yeah, no worries, Callum. Tier 1, that's your common cyber decks. That'll run you, for MSRP, it's going to be $59 or £44.32 of GBP. The Kickstarter price is $49 or £36.81 GBP. This rounds up to a 16.94% discount from MSRP.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Pretty solid for a tier 1, yeah. Yeah. We'll now slide into tier 2, which is the quick hacks tier. You get a single booster display and the MSRP for this is $179 or £134.47 at time of recording, but the price that you're paying is $169 or £126.95. This is a 5.56% discount, and is actually kind of like it's the lowest discount of the lot, actually, which surprised both of us. Yeah, it is.
And now, tier 3, our favorite tier, the Netrunner starter kit. This will run you back $419 or £314.75, or the Kickstarter price is $349 or £262.17. This for a nice and saucy 16.7% discount over MSRP. This, I feel, is one of the stronger tiers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which we'll get into in a little bit. Next, we have the Street Cred pack. The MSRP for this is $649 or £487.53. The price that you pay from the tier is $499 or £374.85. This comes to a nice, sturdy 23.11% discount, which is pretty strong. Yeah, pretty good.
Moving on towards that tier 5, we've got the Padre's Blessing, which will run you a tasty $1,294 or £972.06 at MSRP. But for the Kickstarter price, you're only paying $999 flat or £750.45. That is a 20.01% discount over MSRP. And for what you get, that's pretty damn good.
It's pretty strong, yeah. Next, we got tier 6, which is the Afterlife package, coming in at a whopping $3,979 for MSRP, or £2,989.04. The price that you pay is $2,799 or £2,102.62. This comes in at the highest discount of 29.65%, which is
wild.
Whopping. Nearly a third, basically, yeah.
Big money, big savings. Right?
Exactly.
And finally, for you true cyber psychos, we've got Night City Legend here. MSRP would run you $10,519 or £7,901.93. The Kickstarter price is $7,999 or £6,008.89 for a whopping 23.95% discount on MSRP.
Yeah.
And for the amount you get and what you get, what a saving.
Yeah. It's the I believe the second highest. Yeah, it is. It's the second highest savings that you can get. So that's really, really good for the highest tier. But now this is kind of like the interesting part of the topic, and this is where you guys fall into, is the 5 consumer types that we have pre-selected. Now it is worth mentioning that me and Matt spoke in depth about the kind of consumer types that we want to add into this video, because everyone's situation is different, and there's a million different things you can apply. We chose, I think, 5 different levels of people.
We feel would represent a good
chunk
board of interested people who would be looking into this and going, oh, that's interesting.
Exactly, yeah. And I'll kick off the first one. So we have chosen beginners. So these are people who maybe have some past experience with TCG or maybe have some experience with Cyberpunk, but don't really want to or can't front load to capital immediately to get into the game. So yeah, these are people that are obviously just brand new, kind of like people who...
Maybe you play the game and you saw some adverts. Mm-hmm. Maybe you watched a couple of videos. Maybe our videos.
Next, we have the competitive and long-term players. This is personally where me and Matt fall into. These are experienced TCG players who want to compete at organised play events ranging from locals to worlds. These are obviously, people who I think usually have some form of decent cash flow to fund into the game. Yeah, and obviously the experience as well. Yeah, so this is kind of where me and Matt fall into, and I think maybe the most amount of people fall into the first 2 categories, especially with the competitive and long-term players as well, because so many people in the Discord server that's at like 60k plus members now, which is still insane to me. A lot of these people are experienced people that have played them before. Next, we have a TCG store owner. Now, that in itself sounds quite generic, but we're looking at this through...
The guy who runs your local LGS.
Yeah, we're looking at this through kind of like a smaller scale business. A store looking to add Cyberpunk into their collection will most likely favour sealed product over collectibles, and, this is where me and Matt had the discussion. Because Matt was saying that, surely a TCG store might want to buy the highest tier and get the 54 boxes. And I was saying that I think that when you're a new business, the biggest thing is, can you make your money back? That's really what it boils down to as a store owner is, can I sell? And it's like, you're probably not going to spend thousands and thousands of pounds on something that you yourself don't know if it's going to pick up in the shop or not. Yeah. And because so much of the value as well is also in the collectible stuff, which is good for a shop still, as we'll get into later on.
That was my kind of turning point, is when you mentioned that actually in the higher tiers, it's more so the value is inside of the collectibles rather than the amount of stuff you get.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think for early sellers, and especially we're friends with our LGS owner, and we know full well that whenever they dip their toes into new card games, it's always a very slow kind of process to see if it picks up. Because once again, why would you get extreme supply if there's no demand for it? Because that's just stock that's going to sit there now, and you're losing money on that. The longer it goes. So that's kind of like where we've sat on that. Next, our investors. Now, it is worth mentioning, investors are not scalpers, because I know that a lot of people probably didn't touch on this subject because everyone's scared of the word scalping. The difference between an investor and a scalper really is, I think Matt put it very well, an investor will only take their fair share of the pie and they'll sit on that product long term. Now, usually, obviously a scalper, they will take up as much as they can early, they'll sell immediately, they'll ruin the market, they make it hard for product to get, to get taken and stuff.
And then they'll come back for seconds.
Yeah.
And third.
And they will drain the supply so that the everyday people who just want to play the game are given 2 options, which is to not play or to pay double the MSRP. We've seen this
as well, not just from a practical, financial standpoint, from a vibe standpoint as well. They ruin the game.
Yeah, because
it's no longer fun to interact with the game you want to play.
Yeah, You know, I'm
not
sure.
having any fun either, which is even sadder.
I'm sure that you guys have seen the many, you know, the Walmart Pokemon scalping fight videos that have come out in the past 2 years, and it really, like Matt says, it ruins the vibe. And the worst part is that these tend to be people that aren't even really associated with that thing. You know, like, these aren't even really Pokemon fans. These are just people that have seen an opportunity to make money, and who will jump on it, and they'll suck the vein dry.
Yeah, they see it as a purely financial-based investment market.
Exactly.
And they're miserable.
Yeah. Whereas I think an investor, while yes, they do look at things from a money viewed standpoint, you know, most investors within card games tend to still be involved within that community. And when you're sitting on a small amount of product long term, that doesn't damage the overall experience of the people playing. And I think that's the very distinct difference between an investor and a scalper. I don't care if you sit on a Magic Alpha box for the next 20 years, because I don't need an Alpha box, you know what I mean? And it's the same with this, where even with the beta boxes innately probably will be more expensive after you know, the first wave of the actual product releases in retail, but you don't need that to play the game. Like, you're not forced to only buy that. And I think that's the big difference, as I say, with investors, is that they're not going to damage the short or long term of the game. They're just people who maybe want to sit on some stuff and just kind of have it, you know, just have it there in case they ever need money one day and they go, well, but, you know, this box is now worth double what I paid 10 years ago, which I think is completely fine. Lastly, we also have hardcore collectors. Now, if you're a hardcore collector in any hobby, really, I think it's safe to assume that you have a lot of disposable. So the tiers that we assign to this later on will make more sense. But obviously, these are people that they prioritize the most sought after collectibles within this niche possible. And I would say personally that they even favor the collectability of certain products over the sealed product itself. So those are our 5 different category types. Everyone probably falls in between or in those types. And once again, even though we're recommending certain things to certain people, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow advice. Obviously, do what you want and do what you're, this is just what we recommend as experienced TCG players. Use this moment now to go into what we recommend for each tier. I'll do the first one. I'll start this off. And Matt, you can do the next one. So beginner tier, I think it's very, very easy to say tier 1 is perfect for beginners. Yep. Now, you know, especially if, let's say, if you and a friend want to get into the game, you're like, oh man, you know, this looks really cool. You pull your money together. Yeah. You're paying,
right?
Yeah, you're paying probably with shipping about $25 each for a deck each, with the standard shipping. And the biggest thing is you can play them out the box. These will be playable, so they give you the experience of playing the card game. You can get an idea as to whether or not you want to stick to this card game just from this product. And the biggest thing is, if you didn't like the product, worst case scenario, you've not lost a ton of money. And I think that's the most important thing.
And as the Kickstarter's gone on and the stretch goals have been met, the inherent value, even if you don't pick a tier that contains a beta box, which we went over in a previous video, please go check that out. You still get some added value in the terms of unlocked cards.
Yes. So as it stands with the tiers that are unlocked, you currently get a free Lucy promo, which, you know, well, you get 2 free Lucy promos. You get a Nova Foil and a regular. You will get a Nova Rare David Martinez, and you will also get a Nova Rare Rebecca from Edge Runners. So really, really cool that regardless of what tier you get, you know, you're going to get these promos. Maybe this will, you know, maybe if you like the game, this will incentivize you to start buying more product. But, you know, the main thing is that this is a perfect beginner's taste on what you get.
It's a small bite. It's not too committal.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's just, as the Kickstarter goes on, it's only going to be worth more to get into.
Exactly. And to be fair as well, for the 2 decks, you get a decent savings. You know, like you're getting a decent like a 16.94% discount. That's pretty good to start with for a first tier. And I think, Matt, if you want to take away this, why we're not going to talk about the second tier much.
Yeah. So tier 2, quick hacks tier, it's 1 boosted display. Now, we talked this through off camera a couple of days ago. We talked this through now, even. We just don't feel that for some people, for people trying to get into the game, just as a kind of non-committal taste, you can't do much with a booster box. And
Yeah.
for that price, you could get the tier 1 and an add-on of like a cool playmat or a deck box. You know?
Or sleeves or vice versa, exactly. And I think that's a very good point, as well as the idea that like it's not enough to recommend to the competitive long-term players, and it's also not guaranteed to be enough for the the new players, the people who, now obviously if you're getting into something as a short-term player, someone who wants to try the game, you probably won't want to spend $169 on a booster box. And even more so, it's also the lowest amount of savings in everything.
It's like
it's 5.56% savings. Yeah. So you're saving the least amount of money, and I think for both of those tiers, it just doesn't really hit what you're looking for. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. And obviously, if you only bought the quick hacks tier, that's completely fine, and you can do what you want. But I think for the consumer types that we have selected, 2 just kind of falls short in both categories, which is why we're mentioning it now. And we'll now go on to the Netrunner Starter Kit, which is what we would recommend for competitive and long-term players. Now, this can also be switched out for tier 4 if you want, because the biggest difference really is the dice and the accessories you get. If you favour that, that's fine, but for me and Matt would definitely recommend least amount of money possible to get the best amount for the lowest amount. Netrunner Starter Kit is amazing. It's $349 for the American market. You get to pay for express shipping, so you'll be getting it within the first wave of product coming out, and you're also you're entitled to the add-ons of the beta box, which is just so much added value.
Yeah, the amount of added value from that beta box is frankly, we talked about it in our beta box video, but it's, to summarize, it's psychotic.
It is. I think by the time this finishes, we're probably going to get at least one of each of every Legend promo from the first set, which is insane. The idea that imagine buying a product when they say, okay, here's a master set immediately, like of all the Legend cards for free. It's insane, and I think that we are, tier 3 definitely I think is the perfect thing, because you're going to get 2 booster boxes to pull all the good staples from, or trade away cards for things that you need for your deck. You're going to get one each of the decks, meaning that you can play test them. So obviously, if you're a competitive player, maybe you're like, oh well, the V deck out of the box isn't really for me. You've got the Takamura one, or you've got the Arasaka deck box right there. Yeah. You get with the stretch goals, with the 2 booster boxes and everything else. I just think that is a really, really good standpoint. But like we said, tier 4 can be swapped out for that just a little bit more. It's just we didn't think that tier 4 once again kind of didn't fit between competitive and the TCG store owner, which is the tier up that we chose. So, but once again,
if you want those premium dice, you can just add them on.
Exactly, and you're not really gonna miss. In fact, it'll probably be a little bit cheaper because you're not getting the 3 booster boxes. So it really depends. I'd say we've seen it from a perspective of what's the most you can get for the least amount of money for competitive long-term players, and that for us is 3. But once again, we wouldn't dissuade you from doing 4 if you wanted to. Now, looking at the TCG store owner, like we briefly touched on before, these are people that like I said, I really don't think you're going to want to spend so much money on products to begin with. And the only real thing I think that you could associate that with is definitely the Padres Blessing tier, because you're going to get 4 starter decks, which we spoke about before. You don't even have to sell these decks if you didn't want to as a store owner. You could use them as demo decks.
Demo product. Yep.
Yeah, you could use them as demo decks. But if maybe you could sell 2 and keep 2 for demo decks. Then you've got 6 booster boxes, which is 216 packs. Maybe you crack one open, crack 1 or 2 boxes open, so you can sell single packs. And then you've got, some boxes to sell wholly. It gives people a good idea on kind of rate pull ratios and stuff. And then you get all of the applicable stretch goals, as well as the Hanako Arasaka, Daughter of the Emperor card, and you also get a premium set of dice. These are all things that you can either give away as prize support before official, OP play is supported, or these are things that you could just probably sell quite easily, honestly. Like, you know how much the dice are worth because they've told you the RP for the dice, so you as a store could probably sell them for that. And like I said, when you get all this stuff with the booster boxes, keep the sleeves, keep the playmat for the demo decks, and then just give away all the cards as as promos for people. I think And once again, you as a store owner, you're not losing out on money because the beta box includes are free. They're just things that you get for free. You're not missing out money by rewarding people and kind of drawing them into the game with all of this support. I think that's the reason why me and Matt went with the Padre's Blessing. But then next up, we've got the investors, not to be confused with scalpers. Now, this is the Afterlife package, because once again, you're going to get 6 starter decks, so you could play it yourself if you wanted to, but you're probably going to sit on most of this product. You get 18 displays, which is a very, very hefty, but not... Yeah. It's not an insane amount, you know, like 18 displays.
It's a good chunk of product.
Yeah, it's probably like a crate. It's probably like a case. It's probably like a case of boxes for you to sit on long term. You've got them there, you know, just do whatever with. You get the 2 sets of dice, which once again they could go up if these ones that are being shown are Kickstarter exclusive. Maybe the Jackie dice or the Arasaka dice, maybe they'll go up in value over time. You've got the pre-graded CGC V Corporate XL card, which is really, really good, obviously.
That's gonna be a big investment piece.
Yeah, as an investor, obviously getting a pre-graded card's great. We love it. And then you've also got the metal card and all the accessory bundles as well. And I think that, like, if you were someone who wanted to invest in this long term, and you're getting the accessories bundle on the beta box, like, you'd have enough to sell in the short term if you really wanted to. But really, you just keep it, you know what I mean? Like, even the accessories bundle, it's probably all stuff that eventually is going to be phased out due to the fact that a lot of this are Kickstarter, designs. It's always going to be worth sitting on them, and I think that's just really, really cool. And it, $2,799 is a lot, but for an investor, not really, at least in the large scope of TCG investing. And then lastly, we've got hardcore collectors. So like we mentioned before, these are people that will not compromise on collectability. They will want the best of the best, and they'll spend whatever to get it. And obviously, we're going to say the Night City Legend tier for this. It's $8,000 in dollars. You're gonna get an immediate collection. I mean, 54 boxes is so much.
You'll never want for Cyberpunk cards, at least the beta set, ever again.
Yeah. And you're going to get, 8 starter decks. You're going to get 2 sets of the dice. You're going to get the metal card for Hanako, the pre-graded V. You're going to get 6 uncut sheets of iconic rares. And I think that's one of the biggest things for collectors, is the fact they're doing uncut sheets is insane. It is actually insane. Because, if you look at Pokemon especially, I think, because it's the biggest game in terms of collectability right now, or at least I think it's the biggest market. When you look at the Pokemon market currently, there are always uncut sheets that show up out of nowhere. And I saw one the other day that was it was a base set Shadowless Hollow test print, and the test print had a different foil for what they actually went with the first set. So it was even rarer than like all of the cards. It was even more value, exactly. The fact that they're doing pre-cut sheets of these cards, especially if any of them come out as errors as well. That's like the highest tier of collectability you can really get, aside from the serialized card the metal card that it comes with. And there are different tiers and stuff for tier 7. There are different variants of the tiers. The only real variance is the stamped card that you're going to get. But it is also worth mentioning that unfortunately, the majority of these tiers, I'm pretty sure, are sold out, if not all of them. So
people have gone feral for these. Yeah.
People have gone wild. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good place to kind of... I'm still very surprised that tier 2 actually gives you the least amount of savings, just under 6%.
It's just the booster box.
Yeah, it just kind of falls short with everything, yeah. And like we said before, we're not going to include any of the add-ons just because these are things that you want, and I think it would kind of like muddy up the video a little bit if we talked about every single add-on. And these are all things as well that are all optional, so yeah, I think everyone should fall within those 5 categories. Do you disagree with us? Do you think that, maybe you have your own ideas on what these 5 different types are? Did we miss out a consumer type that you think is worth mentioning? Just let us know down below in the comments. Yeah, well, we hope you enjoy the video. We've got a very exciting video coming up next week. Very exciting. Oh yeah, we're cooking. And yeah, thank you for popping down as always, guys. Our videos are doing, I think pretty well. We're very, very happy to be making this content. We all appreciate everyone that comments and subs to us. You know, the interaction with people is really, really good. Let us know what you want to see next, and yeah, we'll hopefully see you in the next video. But yeah, as always, I'm Cal, that's man.
I'm Wizard, and that's Strong.
And we hope to see you in next week's video. Goodbye.
Bye.
Good morning, Night City!
Johnny Silverhand senses cards.